Opposition parties are granted the right to intervene in the case to halt the release of the report on state capture. The Nelson Mandela Foundation is pleading with the ANC to protect South Africa's democracy. A very good evening to you. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Tutuzile Ramelang.
And I'm Sandy Bekangose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct.
You can also track our main stories using these hashtags, Nelson Mandela Foundation and State Capture Report.
Opposition parties have emerged victorious in their bid to intervene in the case of the report on state capture. President Jacob Zuma has been trying to block the release of the Public Protector's report. Former Public Protector Thuli Madonsela investigated claims that the Gupta family influenced the appointment of cabinet ministers. The North Gauteng High Court has granted opposition parties the right to intervene in opposing Zuma's bid.
Now, these are the orders that we've reached. The application of the Democratic Alliance to intervene as a party to the application of the President of the Republic of South Africa, case number 79808 of 2016, is granted with costs. The application of the Economic Freedom Fighters, the United Democratic Movement, and COPE to intervene as a party to the application of the President of the Republic of South Africa, case number 79808 of 2016, is granted with costs. The application of Ms. MP Mentor to intervene as a party to the application of the President of the Republic of South Africa, case number 79808 of 2016, is granted with costs. The costs of these applications, that is, the intervention applications in case number 79808 of 2016, shall include costs consequent upon the employment of two counsel where applicable. The applications of the Democratic Alliance, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the United Democratic Movement, and the Congress of the People to intervene as parties to the application of Mr. D.D. van Rooyen, case number 84803 of 2016, are granted with costs, including the costs consequent upon the employment of two counsel where applicable. The application of Mr. D.D. van Rooyen, case number 84803 of 2016, is struck from the roll for lack of agency with costs, including the costs consequent upon the employment of two counsel where applicable. Those are the orders that we...
I agree.
I agree.
Thank you. Those are the orders that we've handed down regarding the applications we've had today.
Well, the Nelson Mandela Foundation believes President Jacob Zuma is failing the country. It's calling on the ANC to ensure that the administration is protected and placed in capable hands. In a strongly worded statement, it says the eNCA Constitutional Court judgment raises questions about Zuma's commitment and ability as head of state. The foundation is worried that political meddling for private interests is weakening institutions such as SARS, the NPA, and other law enforcement bodies. It believes a national convention may help to solve the country's current problems. The National Prosecuting Authority has been dealt another blow just a day after it withdrew fraud charges against Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan. The NPA has been forced to drop charges of fraud and defeating the ends of justice against IPID boss Robert McBride and two former investigators. The trio appeared in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today.
Head of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, Robert McBride, Matthew Sesoko and Innocent Kuba all left the Pretoria Magistrates Court smiling. The trio were charged with fraud and defeating the ends of justice relating to an amended IPID report on the illegal rendition of 6 Zimbabweans in 2010. They said they amended the report after receiving evidence that exonerated former Hawks boss Anwar Drumat and former head of the Hawks in Gauteng, General Shadrack Sibiya, of any wrongdoing. Prosecutors told the court that after consulting with NPA bosses, it was agreed prosecution would not be viable as witnesses were reluctant to testify. In other words, they had no evidence.
I had to go through all of this for all of these months, over 18 months, just for doing my job.
I decided to be honest. I decided to be truthful. And that's why I was persecuted the way I was persecuted.
How is it possible that a few elements in the criminal justice system can go ahead meticulously and continuously going after making the independent institutions and watchdog bodies to be toothless, so that it needs an inquiry.
Sesoko and Cuba will now fight to get their jobs back. Malungelo Boy, Pretoria.
South Africa may be a step closer to finding an HIV vaccine. A large-scale clinical trial kicks off countrywide this week. It'll see thousands of participants receive a new drug designed to block the virus. It's estimated that South Africa has about 7 million people infected.
It may not look like it, but a highly anticipated HIV vaccine is being tested here. The Caprisa laboratory, tucked away in the Durban city centre, is one of 15 research sites in South Africa that will administer the new drug in an historical clinical trial. The science stems from a previous trial conducted in Thailand that involved 16,000 participants. Experts have now built on those findings and are hoping the South African run will prove successful.
5,400 South Africans will be given these vaccine products or placebo, in other words, sham products, and will be followed up over a 2 to 3 year period.
Participants will receive 5 vaccine shots over a period of 1 year. Scientists will determine the drug's efficacy by comparing infection rates in the 2 test groups.
It's important that people don't know whether they're getting the sham vaccine or the real vaccine. If at the end of 3 years and we unblind the cohort and we literally count the number of infections that have occurred in the arm where the active vaccine was given versus the arm where the sham vaccine was given, if there's a difference in the number of infections that occurred in the 2 components, the sort of 2,700 people in the one arm versus the other arm, then we will be able to work out how efficacious the vaccine is over that period.
Researchers have long grappled with the virus's ability to mutate, preventing them from finding a vaccine.
This study is potentially an important breakthrough. How will we know that? We will know that because if this vaccine works, if it produces a protection that is substantial, then it could be used to reduce the risk of HIV in our country and indeed in much of Africa. But it's a long way to go before we know that answer.
Manufacturing the drug will only be looked at once the trial has wrapped up. Judith Subban, Durban.
The city of Cape Town is implementing new water restrictions from today. Level 3 restrictions mean residents won't be able to use their hose pipes to water gardens and wash cars. City officials say they will have a team to monitor and enforce adherence.
No more watering your garden with a hose pipe. And you can't leave your swimming pool uncovered. Level 3 water restrictions are here and it looks like they're here to stay.
24 hours after there's been significant rainfall, don't water your garden. If you have a borehole or some kind of irrigation system where you're using grey water, then you can use it, but you must have signage. You can't water your garden with anything but a bucket. You must have a pool cover on your pool. You cannot use plastic swimming pools this summer. You cannot wash your car with anything other than a bucket and a sponge, so you can't be using a hosepipe at all. And we do ask people to be vigilant.
Residents who don't follow these strict rules will have to pay the penalty, and tariffs are also increasing.
From the 1st of December, the tariff charges come into effect. Then we will be sending officials out to various areas, and they will be checking on water usage, and they will be checking that our rules are being applied. And if they aren't being applied, then fines will be issued.
The city has other water-saving methods for residents.
There's some things that are rules, things like the watering of the garden. The other things that are water-saving tips, which take just a little bit of sense, like when you're brushing your teeth, don't leave the tap open. Have shorter showers if you can. Don't leave the tap running. If you notice a drip, make sure your taps are closed properly.
The city has urged all residents to do all they can to save water, as it has become a precious resource. Tim Tongana, Cape Town.
A quick look at world news now. At least 19 people have been killed in India and Pakistan in fresh fighting near the disputed border in Kashmir. Tensions have been running high since September. India launched what it dubbed retaliatory surgical strikes against Islamic militants in Pakistan. Each side accuses the other of repeatedly violating a 2003 ceasefire. The fighting has increased fears that military escalation could trigger a potentially devastating nuclear exchange over Kashmir. Thank you so much, Sandile. The National Health, Education and Allied Workers Union is calling on President Jacob Zuma to resign. It also wants the SABC board dissolved and National Prosecuting Authority boss Sean Abrahams replaced. Nahawu says while Zuma's role in the struggle is well known, the revolution under his watch has taken a disastrous turn. It says if Zuma resigns now, he will not be president of the Republic nor ANC leader come the 2019 general elections. Nahawu adds that the governing party should allow Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa to take over from Zuma. We end with this. The Basic Education Department says it's disappointed a matric exam paper has been leaked in Limpopo. Pupils at several schools in Guyana apparently had access to the mathematics paper before it was written yesterday. All exam scripts at affected schools will be isolated to check for answers that follow a pattern. A case has been opened with police, and the Hawks will investigate the security breach. If you've missed any of the stories we're tracking for you tonight, you can of course find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct, or you can head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Your business news and your weather after this. In money matters, Marion Roberts is set for an exit from the infrastructure sector. The engineering and construction group has sold its building businesses for 314 million rand. It will be taken over by Firefly Investments, which represents a consortium led by a black-owned industrial group. This comes as Marion Roberts shifts its focus to the global natural resources sector. The intention to sell was initially announced in August, with the firm saying the funds will help it reduce its debt levels. The construction industry has slowed largely due to a sharp decline in government contracts and a weaker mining industry. Motorists have until midnight to fill up before the new fuel prices kick in. Petrol goes up by 45 cents a litre, while a litre of diesel will cost 63 cents more. Illuminating paraffin increases by 57 cents a litre. And with that, let's see how the markets close today. Let's check in with the Weather Centre. Here's Candice.
It's been a cooler day in the northeast with thunderstorms active all afternoon. On our satellite, you'll see large thunderstorms flaring up over Gauteng, the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal, on Mpumalanga, the northwest, and even Limpopo on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're expecting some cloud over the western and southern part of South Africa, with morning rainfall along parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal coastline. Some drizzle pushes in along the northeastern escarpment, and we'll see a band of isolated to scattered thundershowers forming across the interior, with an another sizzling hot day expected over the central parts. You'll see a warmer day for KwaZulu-Natal on Wednesday, with rain along the coast, mainly in the first part of the day. Thundershowers are expected over the northwestern part of another warm afternoon. Thundershowers also spill over into the northeastern part of the Eastern Cape, with some light morning rain for East London at 22, partly cloudy at 24 degrees for Port Elizabeth. Hot over the interior part of the Western Cape with a partly cloudy and dry day, 27 for George, just shy of 30 for Cape Town. Another sizzling hot day is expected throughout the Northern Cape with some cloud overhead, a scorching hot 40 degrees for Uppington. In the mid-30s from Welkom through to Verriesmith, with thundershowers mainly over the eastern part of the Free State. You'll also see thundershowers throughout the northwest, with most highs in the lower and middle 30s. Thundershowers are expected over the southern part of Limpopo, with some drizzle extending through to Tzaneen and Phalaborwa. We're also expecting drizzle through to Bombela at 23 degrees, with a warm afternoon and scattered thundershowers for the Mpumalanga Highveld. There's also a watch for the possibility of severe thunderstorm development, and that also extends through to Gauteng, where scattered thundershowers are forecast, and you'll see maximums in the upper 20s and low 30s. On Thursday, we can expect a predominantly hot day with thundershowers over the central and northeastern parts, even extending through to East London at 28. Some drizzle moves into Cape Town in the second part of the work week, and on Friday you'll see a similar day but with a slightly cooler forecast, and you'll see thundershowers over the eastern half of the country. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
Thank you, Candice. After the break, some comedians fear a proposed law on all forms of hate speech could affect their craft. Local comedians will have to watch their P's and Q's if the Prevention and Combating of Hate Crimes and Hate Speech Bill is passed.
Some comedians say that it could even affect their livelihood.
It just might get trickier to crack a joke. The days of free comedic reign on South African stages could soon be coming to an end. The Department of Justice has drafted a hate speech bill outlawing intolerance on the grounds of race, color, sex or gender. It would make our funny men and women think twice before they let rip. For stand-up comedian John Vliesmas, the bill is no laughing matter.
You can't say that a group of people who've gathered and paid money to be entertained is the same as a shopping centre or a supermarket or a workplace or at the Braai. You know, we need to use those words sometimes to create the scenarios in which we provide that kind of that humour. And humour has to be something which provokes thought and like pokes nerves and upsets people, because humour is one of the pathways to dialogue.
Critics say the scope of the bill is too wide. So what changes would Vliesmas make?
Satirists particularly should be protected, because if you understand that it's in the context of satire, then it's almost like a little condom in the act of social intercourse.
Tsepo Mokhale, better known as Spikos Delicious, disagrees.
I've heard guys talking on stage and I felt like they've gone way too far, you know, and I felt like it would be nice to protect, you know, people who are minorities within that audience.
In response to criticism, the department says freedom of expression doesn't trump the right to human dignity. Our comedians have the chance to comment on the bill until the 1st of December. Nondobeko Sbisi, Johannesburg.
A reminder of your top stories. Opposition parties are granted the right to intervene in the Public Protector's report on state capture.
To intervene as a party to the application of the President of the Republic of South Africa, case number 79808 of 2016, is granted with costs.
The Nelson Mandela Foundation is pleading with the ANC to protect South Africa's democracy. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Until we see you tomorrow, take care.